And now, it will be an anticlimax to this press if we do not also address our grave concerns, particularly to one man referred to as manyora. You know, by design, many of you have made him a subject of our political discussions, but you realize that he is as irrelevant as it gets. He managed some one or two seats that he was able to incite some ethnic bases against the regime of, or the government of William Ruto. What I want to tell this gentleman is that as a young Kenyan who's now not very young anymore, who probably has had a more illustrious struggle in this country's democratic transformation than he ever will. As Kindiki reminded him, Kindiki was a lecturer when he was stealing maize and relief food. I was also fighting in the Moi regime, serving as a commissioner when he was serving as a district commissioner or district officer. And by default or design, somehow his brother's death ushered him into member of parliament, and then by accident, as vice president, a mistake that UD has already corrected early in the day. His constant incitement for violence or creating a theater to incite violence must stop.
Yes.
Hii nchi si yako peke yako. We're now getting fed up with you trying to condition a country because you think you have some ethnic base somewhere, preparing it and inciting it for violence. You have done it repeatedly over this electoral period. Every time you have an issue, you threaten of consequences of 2027 based on past experiences. I want to assure you, yesterday you asked youth between 18 and 35 to show up at Chicago. Not even your own son between that age showed up. That shows you that your fallacy has now become something of public notoriety, which people have taken cognizance of. But I want to tell you, we were in the opposition with you. We lost gruesome elections in Kabuchai, in London, here in Naivasha. We never at one time threatened anybody with violence. We never at one time threatened anybody with the consequences of the 202 post-election violence. I think the public has spoken. To a large extent, the public rejects your call for violence and intimidation. Today, I visited a lot of marginalized areas. I went to Turkana. I saw people who have never seen anything but war. War in the north, war in the west. I went to West Pokot. I saw people whose security is their biggest concern. And you think you're brave because you say, when mtoto ya Mau. It is, if that were to be true, it is your father who's Mau, not you. You are simply a district commissioner stealing maize and relief food. You have no credentials anywhere that has tested your courage or your bravery in terms of executing public agenda. So my advice to you is to tone down. It will not be as easy. I'm the one who has taken it upon myself because I know how reckless, how skewed, how unobjective you are to respond to all your letters. You write to the IG, I respond. Because I don't want to put these offices into the mud that you like to put people into. You write to the commissioner, IBC, I respond to you. Because UDA knows you better than anybody else. But we're asking you to cease and desist. We will not allow you, Rigiji or Manyora, to mess this country up. You should stop threatening people with violence all the time. The monopoly of violence is only and only with the state. And that this state, this government has a duty to protect. It will protect the lives and properties of all Kenyan citizens. It will not allow you to replay the theatrics of June of 2024 and June of 2025. You must stop. The public has spoken. The overwhelming majority of this country has rejected your message. Savagery, an auxiliary of colonial divisions because you carry the same ideology of divide and rule. So it's time that you stop your violent approach or your call for violence. Every other time you are threatening this government, you are threatening this country with violence because sijui uko na mlima, sijui uko na nani. Even that mlima has demonstrated to you it is not subservient to you. Gallant sons and daughters of that mlima have demonstrated with you that they don't agree with you to a large extent. Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, the Deputy President, Cecily Mbarire, Kimani Ichung'wah, and other gallant sons of that region. So, and the second one is to stop threatening and intimidating democratic institutions of this country and constitutional commissions and institutions. You picked on a little girl from Mombasa, from Lamu. I have been very hesitant to react to that. Don't you be deceived that Fahima or Ethacon will be intimidated by you. They don't bear any allegiance to us. We hope and urge them to conduct their mandates with utmost diligence, with utmost independence, as per the constitutional role of their offices. But when you try to threaten them and profile them socially, don't you think that you will achieve those aims? A man of his caliber picking and casting aspersions on a 31-year-old young woman who has burst the banks of marginalization and stereotyping to become vice chair of the IEBC, then a man with no wit, no wisdom, no focus, no vision, casts aspersions on her and tries to profile her. So I'm asking all independent commissions and all institutions of government not to fall into the intimidation and the ploys of this gentleman. It's his characteristic way. Alisema usiguze mlima, tukamugusa. Hatukugusa mlima, tulimgusa yeye. Hivi tu, si akaenda hospitali. So, fall not in this prey of intimidation. All institutions must carry out their job as per the design of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. They must not be intimidated by this perennial gambler, characteristic, mode of attack. He had imagined that he was a bigger-than-life kind of person, constantly intimidating the police, intimidating the judiciary, intimidating the IBC. Even as we were in the opposition, I do not recall of any significant intimidation any of us had on institutions of government. We were in Kabuchai, we were in London, we participated in Msambweni. At no time did we accuse institutions of any foul play. The fellow has made it his business to pick and profile people. I think as a government, and I speak also as the appointing or the party appoints government or nominates its government, that it is, again, stop this intimidation. I think moving forward now, we'll have a slightly serious approach to these kinds of reckless individuals. I think the most indefatigable leader of the opposition we had was Raila Odinga. And we saw he actually built institutions to protect democracy. This one is trying to break down these institutions and intimidate in the country all the time. Where you see DCP, you see ethnicity. These are fringe little parties. Wiper, imepata kakiti kamoja hapo Mumbini North. Kameran, kila mahali, amepata ka. Me, I've grown. I used to be Wiper Secretary General. It's difficult to grow Kalonzo Musyoka beyond that region. Amepata kakiti yake kamoja. And he's held people captive in the quest for his ambition. Amepata kamoja, huyo Matiangi naye amepata kwao, ati hawataki kumlet down ili aweze kuja kunegotiate kwa kuwe president. Sasa wewe unajengwa na ukabila, alafu sisi tuku accept kama national president. The person who's always on the social media insulting us is some young gentleman who's a member of parliament. Akatuambia you are 900,000. Sasa sisi pia tuko wingi kuliko hiyo. Unajua mimi nikialish zile community zangu, badala ya kusema sisi ni wa Kenya, tunataka tu negotiate a national agenda, natuambia tunataka tupige hesabu hiyo. Ama ukipiga hesabu hiyo hakuna mahali huyo jamaa ataenda. Itakuwa kama ile Nyachae tu 2002. Watu wengi kumbe ni pale Gusii Stadium. Hata sisi tutapiga kelele, kumbe itakuwa hapo kwa stadium moja. Kenya ndio iko watu wengi. So, you know, these are village parties. But galia UDA. Si mumeona nyinyi wenyewe. Mna hope you have been drawing this map. I hope mtachora nyinyi kama media. Some of you are graphic designers. Again kwa front page kesho, kwa vile now you have all the results. Vile nchi imekuwa yellow. Na pale haiko yellow, iko trafiki zetu wa orange. Alafu pia muweke pale hii discipline color gani? White. Green. Weke hapo. Alafu muangalie vile itakavyoonekana. Because you guys are also graphic designers. Mnatuweka kwa vikapu all the time. So now you should graphic design. Wiper bado ni blue. Ime change to patriotic. Ama demo. Front. So muweke. These people, you should be told that this city doesn't pay. Those who are not with the rest of Kenyans, as we approach this transformational agenda in the elections, you'll be out for a long time. Kenyans will be very unforgiving to people who constantly think that you need to push your tribesmate ili aje hata awapatie opportunities. Sasa kama nyinyi mnafikiria mkipigia Matiangi ndio mtapata mambo yenu, sasa kwani sisi ni mafala? Tuwape ili mtunyanyase? You must paint a national agenda. Their candidate who's affiliated got 1,000 votes in Banisa. So, in the Banisa parliamentary elections. So it's small pockets of ethnically incited electorates. And that's why William Ruto and the late Raila Odinga were urging for this broad coalition to be able to foster a broad and a united Kenya. And we want some of you to come in. Like this is a bit personal, I have to say it. You know, like the Magarini man, that was our candidate. We asked him politely that in the spirit of building this country, let Kombe finish his 1.5 years, and then we front you. He's a very credible candidate. Don't be cheated, those are his votes. We invested in him. He lost the elections by 26 votes in the 2002 general elections. But by making a wrong decision, he has now lost by an even severe margin. But he's one person I would be so happy to welcome back. You know, I also have this thing that goes in my mind, that sometimes people make decisions based on anger or ill-advised circumstances. So I hope some of those who what made Panyako resign as vice chair? He resigned as vice chair to go and run under DCP. Meona leo amepost anarudi back to nursing. A good idea. Because hii siasa, you have to be methodical. Should have just come in as vice chair of UDA, probably tried a nomination, and you will have seen. So all these credible candidates, our candidates. By the way, if you poll some of these areas on the presidency, notwithstanding, William Ruto is unassailably ahead of any presidential candidate. So even in Malava, in Kakamega County, he's far ahead. But people were also electing on some local dynamics. So you leave UDA, you leave your nursing profession, at least you have chosen to go back to nursing.